Welcome, everyone.
Okay, I think I'm going to get started with housekeeping if everyone's ready for that. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for attending tonight's session. This is the keynote session, Mentoring Matters with Emily Jimenez. My name is Kadisha Excel, and as an industrial organizational psychology student and peer mentor here at CUNY SPS, I am really filled with anticipation for this year's Student Leadership Conference. I wanted to go over a few housekeeping rules, and then we will get into our theme. This session is being recorded and will be published on the CUNY SPS website after the conference concludes. Please keep your mics muted to avoid any disruption throughout the session. Closed captions have been enabled. Whether your camera is on or off, we ask that you be mentally present and stay engaged throughout the session. This is a learning environment. We do encourage you to share your experiences in the chat so we can all learn together. And we will have a raffle for the conference. Information on how to enter the raffle will be provided at the end of the session. Now, our theme this week is mentoring and networking, and it's devised to highlight the pivotal role of personal and professional growth you can achieve through active engagement in mentorship and networking opportunities. This is important because in today's interconnected world, the value of building and nurturing relationships cannot be overstated. And this conference is designed to help you explore this landscape. On behalf of the Student Leadership Conference Committee, it is my pleasure to welcome each of you. And whether you are a student, an educator, a professional, or an enthusiast in the field of leadership and development, your presence here today signifies a shared commitment to fostering a community where mentorship and networking are pillars of success. And to open our session, we will start with Dr. Z, who is the director of our student services here at CUNY SPS. Dr. Z has an unwavering commitment to student welfare and leads by example in overseeing vital services, including career services, counseling services, disability services, veteran services, and student life, waking up every morning excited to support and advocate for SPS students. Dr. Z's SPS journey began in 2006, the same day our first students arrived. With a background as the law school's Dean of Academic Services at Columbia University, she brought with her a wealth of experience and a vision for what student services could become. At that time, with 239 students, Z was the whole student services office. Her advocacy has not only been a cornerstone of her career, but has led to significant enhancements in our services, particularly in professional career services tailored to our unique student body. I am confident that you will find her presentation valuable. And as we get started with the conference, please remember to embrace opportunities to connect, learn, and grow together. Here's to a fulfilling and enriching experience at the 2024 Student Leadership Conference. And with that, please join me in extending a warm welcome to Z.
Thank you, Kay. I'm delighted to be here. I'm glad everybody else has come. I know that our students have put together a wonderful conference for you this week that will address a number of issues that you may be facing as you think about your next career move, whether it be seeking a promotion or a job change in your current field or launching a totally new career path. Today, things seem both easier and more difficult as you contemplate career evolution and growth. Technology has made it easier to identify opportunities and learn about the places you may choose to work, but it's more difficult to distinguish yourself from everybody else. This is where connections can help you gain insights and get feedback that can make all the difference in the world, and sometimes even make personal introductions. So I hope that you take full advantage of the thoughtful and comprehensive program of sessions that your student colleagues have designed to give you the maximum information and value for the time that you invest in this conference. Please enjoy it. Think about your own goals, and of course, call upon Shannon Gallo and Kelsey Richardson in our Career Services office as you develop your plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Z, for setting the perfect tone for our conference. Your dedication to our student services is truly the backbone of our success here at CUNY SPS.
Now you got me blushing.
I try. Now I have the pleasure of introducing another distinguished member of our team, Shannon Gallo. Shannon has been the driving force behind establishing and meticulously overseeing all of the career service functions, transforming the landscape of career development for our students. Before her time at SPS, she managed employer relations and campus recruiting at Pace University and led the cooperative education internship program at Monroe College. Her corporate experience includes serving as regional manager of recruiting for global staffing leader Kelly Services, where she built recruitment and retention strategies for 8 field offices in the New York City area. Shannon holds a BS in journalism, public relations, and an MS in industrial relations, human resources from West Virginia University. She is currently a member of the National Association of Colleges and Employees, NACE, participates actively with the CUNY-wide Career Services, CSAC, having served as co-chair from 2014 to 2017, and serves as a co-chair on SPS's Strategic Planning Implementation Group. Aside from her professional life, Shannon volunteers as board president of the Cranford Fund for Educational Excellence, a nonprofit community organization providing grants to public school educators. Please, let's all give a warm welcome to Shannon.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Z. It's always nice to hear from you, of course, and certainly Kay, Kadisha. I appreciate the nice introduction. Also, special thanks to Rashma, Elizabeth, Harsh, Anthony, of course, and the rest of the planning team. I know that there is a lot of work that's gone into tonight's event and certainly the conference. So I'm excited to be part of this evening for just a little bit. So what I'm going to tell you in my time, first I'll go through some general themes about our conference and the types of things that might pop up for all of you throughout your time this week. I'll also give you some pointers on how to make the most of a virtual conference like this. I know there are a couple of things mentioned already about how to sort of approach the sessions, and when Kay so effortlessly went through some of the pointers and housekeeping items, but I hope that I can provide you with, some more tips on really how to leverage this conference. And finally, I'll assign some homework for those of you who are planning to participate this evening and for the rest of the time. So before I move ahead, I thought I would start with a nice quote. This quote that I saw covered in a couple of places, I really love it. It actually showed up in a book that I was reading not too long ago with my tween daughter. The quote is, "Success isn't about how much money you make. It's about the difference you make in people's lives." And I thought that that was a nice thing to think about when we start. I wonder if anybody has heard this quote before, and without Googling, wanted to put in the chat who they think it was. Anybody? Okay. I will give a pointer, or I guess I'll give a hint. This particular person was First Lady. And it's not the current First Lady. Okay. I will go ahead and give it away. The person who said success isn't about how much money you make, it's about the difference you make in people's lives. It was Michelle Obama, and I'm seeing her name pop up in the chat. I think she's fabulous. I think she is a wonderful leader and mentor. And I think what she said about success is certainly, that particular quote definitely has been something that she has lived, not just said. Okay, so moving ahead, I thought I would take some time. I spent a lot of time and I read through all of the different sessions that are coming up this week. And I think that all of you are in for a real treat. If you're coming, if this is actually the second session, because I know there was one today, you heard about looking at systems holistically, which is how I would recommend approaching networking as a system, as sort of a circle, where you're providing networks, you're giving, you're receiving again and giving again. It's always cyclical. Another quote, and something that I always try to describe when I'm talking about networking, is that it's a two-way street. The earth is not flat, and neither should networking and mentorship be. I also think that was really interesting because we had an earthquake a couple of days ago. So I was thinking about that, and I thought it was really funny when I prepared these remarks that I mentioned that. So later tonight, when we hear from our keynote speaker, Emily, you'll learn about the transformative power of passion for your work and how it can be a driving force for charting out an informed path for your career. Tomorrow afternoon, there's a session on mastering networks, which should be super helpful in thinking about networking, which I think seems very complex, and it can be. But I think that session tomorrow will really provide you with a different way of looking at it as more simple, using what the presenters will say are the 5 W's and an H. And I thought this was interesting. It reminded me of my days as an undergraduate student in journalism. I know Kay mentioned that earlier. When we were practicing our writing and writing articles and stories, we followed the 5 W's and an H. And I really think that networking is sometimes the same thing, storytelling, whether it's about yourself or others. Tomorrow evening, there is a presentation about mentoring and its potential to impact your academic journey and your skills building. So, networking can also be looked at as, not just a professional or career-related tool, but it can also be useful to you to leverage networking and connections and the people you know and the people who know you in the academic sense and when you're building competencies. Wednesday's session, I think, is a nice departure from the expected. That particular session is centered on queer joy. And I think the ideas likely of wellness, joy, certainly action and advocacy should really bring all of the attendees and all of us together as a community in that session on Wednesday. On Thursday, there is a session which I just love this idea and theme about your advisory board for success and how that can allow you to incorporate networking and mentoring related concepts really as a way to advance your career, enhance connections and relationships, and really find a way to be strategic in all of your career planning. Lastly, and this is the shameless plug, you can finish out the conference by putting all of the different themes you've learned about as far as networking and connecting and mentorship throughout the week into practice when you can join us for a collaborative program, a live career meetup for business and technology careers, and that's on Thursday evening. So far, all of those concepts I've mentioned are also not only mentoring and networking, but certainly the fact that this is a leadership conference makes sense because I think mentoring and networking are some of the most important parts of leading. So I hope you won't think really of leadership or mentorship or networking, obviously, as something that's finite. All of these things are and should be practiced regularly and explored. When I'm talking about resumes, for example, I talk with students and alumni, and I help them to think about a resume as an ongoing document It's not something that's finite. It's kind of an art, not a science. It's something to always be practicing on, working on, updating, thinking about. And that's the same thing when it comes to mentorship and networking, like what you're doing right now. That said, let me go into a couple more practical pointers. And I hope that you'll use those things to move ahead really during the rest of this week with these suggestions, and eventually as you think about your career planning, your mentoring ideas, and your networking. So before I move ahead, I thought I would take a minute and just use the chat. I wanted to know, has anyone here, well, first of all, has anyone here attended an FPS program previously? It can be a webinar, it can be today's session earlier, it can be a previous conference. You can also use your raise hand feature if that's easier. Okay. Oh, I see somebody who attended the session from earlier. That's awesome. Love it. Amarna, Amanda, Kelly. Nice. Last year's conference. Awesome. It must have been so fantastic. You had to come back. I'm thrilled. Okay, so who has attended a conference similar to this, but in person? So why don't you either raise your hand or put in the chat. Okay, I see a couple. Pre-pandemic, but yes, that's the same with me. I haven't really attended a conference really in person since 2020, I guess, about 4 years ago. Okay, so I'm seeing a couple people have attended these kinds of conferences before. So I asked that because one of the first things that happens when you go to a conference or a seminar or something like that in person, you kind of walk in the area where the reception is, and they usually have like a desk or a table, and there are people there, and they have booklets, and they have folders and information, and they also have name tags. And I know a lot of times when people go to conferences, the name tag is kind of an important thing because that's how you remember people when you talk to them or when you sit next to someone and maybe you introduce yourselves to one another, but literally 30 seconds later, you would forget that person's name if it wasn't staring you in the face. So that's my first tip, is make sure that when you are in these little Zoom boxes that you have your screen name listed. If possible, if you're dialing in, or even if you don't have your camera showing, at least make sure that your name is listed. If you're comfortable using your gender pronouns, that can be a nice thing to add. I actually, earlier in today's session, I added my gender pronouns to this because I don't know why they were taken off previously, but that's something you could consider. And then I also included SPS Career Services beside my name because I wanted people to be able to associate who I am and what I'm doing here and why I'm talking to everybody. Another thing that's important to keep in mind is your etiquette and using the chat. And I think I was looking earlier, and I think everybody's been doing a nice job in doing so. You know, take your time when you're commenting in the chat. It certainly is tied to your name or whatever you have in your little Zoom box. So make sure that you're speaking appropriately and respectfully, and you're utilizing the chat, but not to a point where you're totally distracted from whatever is happening in the session. Another pointer, just in terms of branding yourself and helping others to remember you, anytime you ask a question or make a comment, particularly if you go into breakout rooms, make sure that even though you have your name in your little Zoom box, that you say, "Hi, I'm Shannon Gallo. I'm with the CUNY SPS Office of Career Services. And I think what the speaker was just saying is really interesting, and here's why." So it makes a difference so that people will tie together what you are saying and who you are. So the next time they might see you in a session, they might send you a chat and say, I thought what you said in the last session was really smart. I would love to get to know you better. Maybe we can catch up after the conference. And this is sort of the same way that you might do the same kind of thing if you're in person, using the tools available to you through the Zoom. My third tip is to do your homework. So if you were planning to attend tonight's conference, maybe some people have already done this part, but you can look at who the speakers are in advance. Go on their LinkedIn profiles, check out if they've written articles, if they've commented on posts that people have made. You could follow them on LinkedIn. You don't even necessarily have to connect with a person if you don't feel comfortable doing so, but you can usually follow a person on LinkedIn. That will really help you get more out of the session. If you take a couple of minutes and say, all right, who is this person that's going to be talking with us in this session? It also can make a difference to them, because if you already have an idea of who they are, what their experiences have been, what their work background is, it might make it a little bit easier if you make a comment or ask a question during the session. Similar to doing your homework, I also recommend that you do your follow-up. And that's what the fourth tip is. Look up other attendees who might be making interesting comments or asking questions, and consider connecting with them. Like the example I provided before, if someone makes a really interesting or thoughtful comment that you really identify with or you agree with, or even if you have other ideas about, think about how you can use that to your advantage in building relationships. If there's someone who's asking questions, or they're talking about a particular challenge that they're experiencing, maybe they share about a challenge they're having related to their job search or their classes. Think about if there's a way you can help. Maybe you could reach out to them and say, I heard what you were asking before, and I've had the same experience in the past. Here is what helped me. It's a great way to start a mutually beneficial connection with that person. And the thing about doing this follow-up is that a lot of people will never take the time to do it. So if you do, it's really an excellent way for you to build a nice foundation for future networking. And it's also another little pointer in relation to Thursday evening's online career meetup. If you're the person who takes the time to do this follow-up, you might very well be the person who they want to reach out to about a job opening. So it really makes a difference when you do those kinds of things following these types of sessions. Finally, as I told you before, I was going to leave all of you with some homework. Really just call it a challenge for all of you attending some or even all of this week's sessions. I am challenging each of you to find a way to speak up at least one time or more. So that could be one time during the whole conference, or if you're only going to attend one session, one time during that session. So that means either asking a question or making a comment. Not too hard, but if you take some time to do your homework, like I said, or do your follow-up, it should make it that much easier for you to feel confident and comfortable speaking up by asking a question or making some sort of comment. Another challenge I have for you, this is a two-part homework assignment. The second challenge I have for all of you is to identify at least one new contact person this week. It can be a presenter, it can be a fellow attendee, anything like that. Anybody who you come into contact with, hear from, or connect with in a session. Either reach out to them directly afterwards to introduce yourself, or simply find them on LinkedIn and ask them to connect. And I think that if you can do each of these things, then you will at least get that much more out of all of these sessions. Finally, in conclusion, I'll say thank you once again to all of the planning team for tonight's session. I hope that it's been useful for all of you to hear some of my thoughts about the different sessions and the themes that will come in each of those sessions, the types of things that might pop up throughout your time. I also gave you some pointers on how to really leverage this conference, even with it being virtual, and really make the most of it. And then finally, I give those 2 important homework assignments. Speak up at least one time and identify at least one new contact person. Finally, I'll leave you with another quote. And this person is a little more obscure, I think. This one is from Robert Kiyosaki, and he's a motivational speaker and a professional career expert. He also wrote the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I have not read. But the quote from him, which I thought was great, was, "If you want to go somewhere, it is best to find someone who has already been there." So I will leave all of you with that. Enjoy the rest of this session. I believe that you are in for a treat when you hear from Emily. And thanks once again.
Thank you, Shannon, for all of your insights, tips, challenges. I hope everyone else will be doing them just like me. And yeah, just thank you for all of that information on networking, mentoring, and really just leveling up your networking abilities. So I'm really excited to now introduce you to our keynote speaker, Emily Jimenez. Emily has 20 years of experience in the nonprofit sector, supporting women and young adults. During this time, she has helped students from historically underserved communities secure aligned employment, as well as overcome obstacles to high school and college graduation. She currently serves as the Assistant Director of Career Development at Macaulay Honors College at the City University of New York. In this role, she connects employers to emerging talent pipelines, organizes professional development events, and coaches students and early to mid-level professionals on navigating the evolving work landscape. Additionally, she serves as a founding member of the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancement's National Leadership Council. Emily is the oldest child of Dominican immigrants and the first to attend college, obtain a graduate degree, and work in a corporate setting. This experience has fueled her passion for being a fierce advocate of equity in education, finding culturally competent mentors, and workplace wellness. Her goal is to equip first-generation students with tools to thrive in college and corporate environments and encourage them to pay it forward, creating a culture of mutual aid within their communities. She obtained a bachelor's degree in culture and communication and a master's degree in business management and leadership from CUNY School of Professional Studies, an alum in the building. And in addition to an executive education certificate in nonprofit leadership from Fordham University. In 2020, she launched the Manifestation Mommy, a virtual wellness space. Through this platform, she teaches busy professionals how to prioritize their wellness so they can live abundant, balanced lives through ceremonies, live courses, and career clarity coaching. And with that, take it away, Emily.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I am so excited and deeply honored and grateful to virtually join you today to share insights, some of my experiences and strategies on a topic that honestly lies close to my heart, mentorship and networking. As a proud alumni of CUNY SPS and someone who has navigated the winding paths of a non-traditional education, I understand the significance of mentorship in personal and professional growth. I am a first-generation college graduate and professional, as you heard earlier. I'm a daughter of immigrants from the Dominican Republic who currently calls Queens home. I found my way to CUNY SPS during a break, and I am so thankful that I did and that I'm here today. As you heard, I spent the last 20 years working in the nonprofit sector, supporting non-traditional students just like me to graduate and secure aligned employment. What do I mean by aligned employment? Not that you're just getting a job and a career, but one that really is in alignment with what you want out of your life, what success looks like to you. And now I'm in the workforce development field. I have switched since CUNY to Brooklyn Job Corps with the Department of Labor, and I owe a lot of my success to my ability to cultivate meaningful connections and to build a network that is invested in my success. During our time together, we're going to explore the essence of mentorship, crafting your personal advisory board, embracing failure from a different perspective, and mastering networking techniques. This is not going to be a one-sided conversation. This is not a lecture hall. Instead, I'm going to share some actionable strategies and real-world examples based on your questions or your comments in the chat. Your engagement is key, and together we'll explore practical solutions tailored to your unique circumstances. So, now that you've learned a little bit about me, I would love, love, love to hear from you in the chat. Who here has any experience with mentorship, whether it's formal or informal? Please put a 1 in the chat if you've had a mentor. Put a 2 in the chat if you have not had a mentor. Put a 3 in the chat if you're not even really sure what mentoring is, or if you've had one. So again, I'm going to ask you to put a 1 in the chat if you've had a mentor, put a 2 in the chat if you have not, and put a 3 if you're not exactly sure. Let's see, we've got some 2s, some 1s and 2s. All right, so it's pretty much, it's a mix, a 1/2, half not officially, okay? So we've got some mixed answers here. Love that. So at its core, mentorship is about learning from the experiences, the insights, and the guidance of others who have navigated a similar path before us. They offer support, advice, and encouragement as we navigate the complexities of life and career. The relationship between a mentor and a mentee is reciprocal. While the mentor typically brings more experience and expertise to the table, the mentee also has valuable insights, perspectives, and experiences to share. The mentor, they impart their knowledge and guidance based on their own journey, while the mentee offers fresh ideas, perspectives, and questions that can stimulate the mentor's thinking. All right, so if you are out there wanting to be someone's mentee, know that this is reciprocal and that it's about a give and a take, because you also have something to offer. However, something that I think is important to note is that mentorship is not limited to just one mentor. It's about cultivating a network of mentors and advisors who are able to provide different perspectives and expertise. This concept of a personal advisory board, it really helps take mentorship to the next level. By assembling a team of trusted advisors who bring diverse skills, backgrounds, and perspectives, you can access a wealth of knowledge, support, and guidance to help you overcome challenges, seize opportunities, and be able to achieve your goals. So think if you're into comic books, if you are into Marvel, all of these things, think of this as like you are assembling the Avengers for your career, for what you want to happen. So thinking about a personal advisory board, I would say that having a great, robust board includes 5 different roles. The first one, of course, is a mentor. This is your career development strategist and your thought partner. They help you articulate your goals and they hold you accountable. For me, I am starting a new mentorship relationship with my supervisor, Richard. I am new in this role. It's been 6 months, and he has really helped me, honestly, be a thought partner, think about where I want to go next and how am I going to navigate this new role that I'm in. And I'm super thankful for that. Because honestly, not every supervisor that I've had has been a mentor to me. And I'm grateful that I'm in the position that I am now to be able to have this person be part of my personal advisory board. The second role is a sponsor. And you can kind of think of this like your personal promoter. This is a person who creates opportunities and they open doors for you. Someone who says your name in rooms when you are not there. For me, this is someone who became my friend, and her name is Melinda. So I met Melinda at a conference. I was talking about work. She was talking about work. We realized we were in the same fields. And ever since then, she has had my back. She has promoted me, recommended me for different jobs, opportunities where I got paid, where I got to do a lot of the different things that are passionate to me and that has to do with my career. And she has been my sponsor. She has definitely said my names in rooms that I'm not in and provided created opportunities for me where I can excel and I can get my story out there. The third role for your personal advisory board is a connector. This is someone who is plugged into networks that are helpful to your career, to your major, and they are willing to help you navigate and connect with them. So thankfully for me, this is my partner, George. George, like, this is a plug. I'm telling you, he knows everyone. I took him as my +1 to a wedding, and he knew people there that I'm like, how do you even know these people? Like, how did you know people at the wedding of my family that I didn't even know? So this is someone who I've been able to ask him, do you know someone who works in this field? Do you know someone that I can bring to my job as a guest speaker? Do you have someone, a company that you think would be a great employer to invite to this event? And he will go through his Instagram, he will go through his social media, he will go through his phone contacts and connect me with someone. And many times that those connections that he have shared have been really robust and led to other things. The fourth person for your advisory board that I'm suggesting is a point expert, right? So this is someone who is highly knowledgeable about topics or issues that are important to you. So thinking about your major, thinking about the career field that you want to be into, thinking about something that you're highly passionate about, pick your point person. For me, this was an influencer that I found online who has become a friend, Ada. Right? I have joined many of her coaching programs, things like that. And she has put me in the direction of and answering questions that have helped build my side business. And then lastly, you want to add a close friend. This is someone who knows you well personally, who you can discuss your professional and your personal challenges. This is your sounding board, the person that you can vent to, and the person who honestly might give you that little nudge when you need it, the person who is going to really help hold you accountable and make sure that you're not being mediocre, that you're doing what you said you wanted to do because they know you well. So based on these 5 roles, a mentor, a sponsor, a connector, a point person, and a close friend, I want to hear from you in the chat. How many do you think that you have right now? So you could drop a number from 0 to 5 in the chat. Of these 5 roles, how many would you say you have right now? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? And let's see what's coming in. I see 2 or 3, 3, a 1, a 1, a 1. Okay. So that's perfect, right? It's kind of giving you some time to reflect about who it is that you want to add to your board. Because remember, this is your personal advisory board. You are taking ownership and creating this and considering who you even want to be on it. So other things to consider. You want to consider the availability and the level of commitment of potential advisors. You want to ensure that they have the time and willingness to engage in regular communication, provide you feedback, and offer support as needed. So for example, if your advisor has limited availability, you want to make sure that you arrive to each meeting with a goal for the conversation and talking points so that you can maximize their limited time and maximize your time together. You want to choose advisors who demonstrate culturally sensitivity and awareness, right? Advisors who are tuned to the culture and nuances can better understand and address your unique needs and challenges. And it's going to lead to a more inclusive and supportive advisory experience. You want to be open to receiving feedback and input from your advisors, even if it may be challenging or uncomfortable at times. You want to embrace constructive criticism as an opportunity for growth and improvement and actively solicit feedback, advice, and perspectives on important decisions and challenges. Periodically, you want to evaluate the effectiveness of your board and make adjustments as needed. Assess whether your advisors, are they still meeting your needs? Are there gaps in their expertise and perspectives? Whether are there any changes and additions that are necessary to support your evolving goals as priorities, right? Because maybe when you first establish this board, and years down the line, as you get closer to graduation or a new career and any like pivotal moments, you may want to make adjustments as needed. And this one is key. Be open to vulnerability. Share all of your experiences, not just the positive ones. You want to normalize conversations about failure and recognize that they provide chances for growth and resilience. I like to frame failure as a valuable learning opportunity rather than looking at it as a personal shortcoming. Failure is not a sign of inadequacy. It's a natural part of the journey towards success. It is an opportunity to reevaluate, refine your approach, and emerge stronger than before. In your conversations, because you get stuck in that space, right? You want to emphasize the lessons and insights gained, including what went wrong, what you learned from the experience, and how you plan to move forward. So we learned about the different types of what mentoring is. We talked about having a personal advisory board. We talked about who should be on an advisory board and what should they bring to that. So now I want to shift your focus a little bit and dive into practical strategies for finding the right individuals to join your board. Because remember, networking isn't just about collecting business cards or LinkedIn connections. It's about making genuine connections that transcend transactional relationships. But how do we do that? Right? We're not just adding people on LinkedIn and saying, yes, I have 1,000. Yes, I have 5,000 people on it. Yes, I have over 10,000 people across all of my social media. And then you're never talking to them, right? So I'd love to chat. Let me know, how many followers do you have currently across your social media? And how often do you talk to them? Is it more than 500? Is it more than 1,000? Is it more than 1,500? How many people, and we're just taking guesses, you don't have to log into your phone and check and add all of your followers, but how many people are you connected to in your social networks? And of that number, how many of them are you actually talking to? The chat is a little quiet, so I see we're calculating some numbers or doing some reflecting, and that is totally okay. So I see in the chat, definitely not more than 500, 4,000, 200 to 300 socially, totally. So again, we have all these high numbers. It's not about going to a networking event and you are collecting business cards and then you never look at them and they are collecting dust. That's part of it, right? Yes, we want to get out there. We want to initiate these conversations, but what are we doing with that information once we have it? So effective networking, it goes beyond superficial interactions. It's about cultivating meaningful relationships built on mutual respect, trust, and shared interests. One approach to foster genuine connections is to prioritize quality over quantity. Instead of aiming to accumulate a large number of contacts, focus on building deeper relationships with select individuals who resonate with your goals and your values. Show genuine interest in their experiences, aspirations, and expertise, and look for opportunities to offer support, advice, or resources when you can, because remember, it's all about reciprocity. This isn't one-sided, right? Mentorship isn't like, hey, what can you do for me? It's a mutually beneficial relationship where all parties have an opportunity to give, but also to get. And because I know some people earlier were saying that they haven't gone to any since the pandemic and things like that. So if the idea of attending a networking event or initiating a conversation with a stranger has you nervous, here are a few suggestions. Instead of aiming to meet everyone in the room, focus on initiating conversations with a few people who seem approachable. Look for common interests or experiences that you can bond over with others. This is really great for affinity groups and events. If face-to-face networking feels overwhelming, that's okay. Consider starting an online networking platform such as LinkedIn, professional forums, virtual conferences such as this one, because they allow you to connect with others and to initiate conversations from the comfort of your own space. I know we're running short on time, so as we approach the conclusion of our time here, I really want to invite each of you to reflect on what success means to you. Success is not a one-size-fits-all concept. We are not taking a cookie cutter approach. It's really deeply personal and subjective. I encourage you to reflect on the insights and the strategies that we've discussed and consider how they can be applied to your own journey. Take a moment to envision your ideal future, the goals you aspire to achieve, the impact you hope to make, the legacy you wish to leave behind. It's crucial to define success on your own terms, free from external expectations, free from societal pressures. Identify the goals that bring you genuine joy and fulfillment, and then consider the steps you need to take to turn that vision into reality. Thank you for your active participation in the chat. I really look forward to witnessing the incredible achievements that lie ahead for each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Am I? Okay, Emily. Thank you so much, Emily. You know, mentorship is just really crucial for personal and professional growth. And I think that you shared so many wonderful tips that everybody can work with. The way you broke down the 5 people you need on your board was excellent. Does anyone have any questions before I go into more housekeeping stuff? Is there anything that anyone would like to share or ask? I'll give it about a minute.
Yep, and I also shared my link in the chat, so you can always ask those questions on LinkedIn or anything like that.
I was just going to say, this is also a good time for people to, maybe if you came later, to share your LinkedIn and maybe something about yourself so people could know why they would want to, maybe, you know, your field or your interests or why you would make a good connection to make sure it's a little bit more organic, right? Because we definitely don't want to just hit follow, follow, follow. And okay. All right. So now some housekeeping stuff. And now that you have all of that wonderful information, I am going to recommend that everybody utilize the Office of Career Services at CUNY SPS. We had Shannon coming in earlier and she spoke. So I think that's something that everybody should use. If you're an alumni, you can still use it. If you are a student, it's here for you. And they also help with things like interview preparation, you know, just so many career resources and social media training, career development webinars, which one of them is happening Thursday. So you guys check out their page and register. Next up is CUNY SPS also offers a student professional development grant, and the maximum award is $250 for the year. And this grant is really wonderful, specifically about the things we were talking about, career development, because you can apply the grant to use it for like a conference, or maybe joining a professional association. A lot of times there are student memberships for professional associations. So that's something to look into. You can also apply the grant to use it. Oh, I didn't even realize our, sorry guys, I did not realize that the slides were not going. You can also apply the grant to use it for, I said conference related expenses. Okay, got it. So, next slide. 1 second. So, going to, I need to switch the slide, but I think,
Page?
yeah, I'm not, I don't have it. Let's see. Whose screen? Is this your screen, Emily?
Yep.
Okay, can you just switch to the next slide for me?
Yes, can you see it?
Yeah. Okay. So there is you have a chance to enter the raffles. Prize 1 and 2 is for SPS students exclusively, and prize 3, anyone can win that prize. Prize 1 is an extra $150 to the professional development grant. So that would bring, if you had applied for the first 250, that would be $400 in professional development funds, not coming out of your pocket. The next prize is a great book. It's called Recalculating, and it's about navigating your career as the world of work changes. And prize 3 will be some lovely student leadership conference swag. So entering is very easy. You just complete the survey to enter the raffle and select your prize. If you can go to the next slide.
Yes, hopefully you can see the last slide with the QR
Okay.
code.
Yep. And so now to enter the raffle, so you would just complete the survey. You can use the QR code and to complete the post-session survey, and you can complete the information and then you choose which prize you would like. One thing to keep in mind is that the more sessions you attend, the more opportunities you get to win the prize you actually would like to see. Okay, somebody is saying they cannot see the QR code on. Are you able to share that last slide again, Emily?
Yep, I will try it again.
Let's see.
Yep, can everyone see it now?
They should be able to see it. Can you, if you can see it, okay, yes. So you can click the QR code and that will take you straight to the survey. Keep in mind what you learned. And I do want to encourage everyone to really utilize what we learned today from Shannon and Z, and particularly Emily. And with that, if no one else has any other questions, I do want to say once again, thank you to Emily and good night to everyone. Hope to see you at the next session. There's one starting in about an hour, not about an hour, in about 3 minutes. Okay.
Thanks,
Good
everyone.
night. Right.